For so many years, I felt like such a victim. I was always complaining around the way that my life was, around the way that people treated me, the fact that just nobody understands me, and the horrific card that I had been dealt in life. But thank God, eventually I realized that staying in victim mentality just kept me stuck in the same old cycle over and over and would never allow me to move forward. Your traumas are definitely real, but they are not your identity. And the more that you choose to stay stuck in them and allow them to create the physical experience that you have every single day, the longer you're going to be stuck there. It's a hard truth, but you can't keep saying, this is who I am because of what happened to me. Every single person on this planet has a sad story, but half of those people use it as an excuse to stay stagnant and complain all day, and the other half use it as their driving force to be better and more successful than you could have ever imagined. So which one do you want to be? If it's this one, then stay tuned for the rest of the video, because I'm going to be breaking down how to recognize a victim mentality so that you can finally cut it out of your life, and then breaking down all of the mindset shifts you need to go from victim to hero, and then finally the homework chapter where I share with you all practical steps and tips so that you can finally get to a successful place in your life where victim mentality has no place. But before we get right into it, be sure to check out all of my links below in the description, where you can check out my 2 other YouTube channels, one of which is my podcast Self Obsessed, and the other one my vlog channel, where you guys can check out how I live my life and all of my healthy productive routines on a day-to-day basis, along with my Instagram and TikTok and Snapchat. Chapter number 1, how to recognize how victim mentality is showing up in your life. And step number 1 is probably the biggest, which is that you blame other people for your situation or the happenings in your life. For example, my friends are always too busy for me, my parents were never there for me, and you know what? I have to talk about the parent thing in a little bit more detail, because to be completely honest, that was me. I used to feel so unlucky with the family that I had and the upbringing that I had, and I thought, I can't believe I've been dealt this card in my life. And although it's not false what I'm saying, and although that treatment was not deserved, I had to step out of that and take accountability for my own life to realize I cannot control that. That is an external circumstance. All I can control is the mindset that I have around that particular situation, because there's no changing it. And so instead, wouldn't I rather do myself the favor to grant myself a little bit more peace and happiness in my life of realizing this is my parents' first time living through life. They have their own set of traumas, their own upbringing that they didn't agree with either, and they're literally always doing the best they can to try and raise you or teach you with the knowledge and with the resources that they have at their disposal. And if you can't relate and you feel like your parents are always mistreating you, then it's switching your mindset to they are hurting themselves. They didn't have the opportunity or the time or the privilege to be able to recognize that they had traumas to heal, and it's okay to go to therapy, or it's okay to work on yourself, or you're not a bad person for recognizing you have weaknesses and then you need to try and fix those to be able to be a better person for other people. And once you realize that, it finally allows you to take yourself out of the situation and stop this narrative of life is so unfair and everybody hates me and whatever I have, it's the worst case situation, and you finally start seeing things for how they are, which finally gives you the freedom to be able to move on past it. Sign number 2 of victim mentality is your language. When you're going through tough times, of course it feels like a natural instinct to feel like everything is against me, you know, I feel unlucky, why is this so hard for me, why do I keep failing over and over again, nothing's working out for me, maybe I'm not meant for this. And while that may feel true in the moment, you are reinforcing that narrative, you are making that your identity, and you are attracting the same old situations and results into your life by deciding to say that throughout every negative experience you have. And so instead, when you go through a negative experience and you switch, oh my god, nothing ever works out for me too, I have to go through tough times to be able to evolve and grow as a person and become stronger and wiser and more powerful. I am never going to be able to be the most ideal version of myself if I don't go through all of the challenges and obstacles now to be able to become her. She's only that smart and resilient and powerful and confident because of all of the things that tried to knock her down and the wisdom and the knowledge she gained in overcoming each of those challenges. So I welcome these challenges. They are simply an inevitable part of my journey of evolution and growth that I need to be able to get to the next phase and the next level in my life of growing and succeeding and becoming the best version of myself. And so I would never say everything bad happens to me, because in actuality, everything is working in my favor for my greater purpose and the storyline that I must go on to be able to fulfill all of my gifts and true potential. Moving on to chapter number 2. Now that we know the 2 biggest causes and signs of having victim mentality so that we can work back from them, now it's time that I share with you guys all of the mindset shifts you guys need to go from victim to hero. Step number 1 is no more why. AKA, we need to stop trying to put meaning to all of the challenges and all of the adversities we have. Because when you're so focused on why does this keep happening to me? Why can't I find a good guy? Why can't I trust anyone? And you're constantly trying to find the meaning behind your problems, you are still stuck and stagnant because you aren't actually actioning, moving on, or trying a different way of living. So the mindset shift here is to stop asking why and replace it by asking what's next. You need to stop dwelling on the past and how many times one situation has happened to you, and instead think, if this is a situation that I keep going through and I don't like it, okay, what's the step now to make sure that I never have to deal with it ever again? Is it by surrounding myself with different people? Is it by changing my mindset? Is it about showing up in a different way? And this mindset makes you feel so much more empowered because it reinforces the truth that you are in fact in control of your reality, whereas victim mentality completely goes against that and tries to train you into thinking that everything is happening to you and you are so unlucky. Step number 2 is my favorite, and this is character switching. I want you to take a second to imagine yourself 5 years from now. You're not just out here existing in survival mode, questioning why everything is happening the way it is. No. You are thriving. You are successful. You get every single thing you ever wanted. You're living a life that reflects your true potential, one that frees you from the shackles of your past trauma. You do not identify with the person that you used to be in the life you used to live because you have leveled up so much. And that right there was an example of visualization. When I was personally trying to shift out of my victim mentality experience, which went on for so many years, by the way, I started to visualize myself as someone who didn't have any problems in her life, who was so happy, who was thriving, who got to do what she wanted to do for work, who felt free. And this might sound so simple, but it's already so transformative because it gets you out of the habit of having a victim mentality, and it reduces the amount of time you're spending each day being consumed by your problems and your unluckiness, and instead replacing it with time where you're thinking about a better future, about how things are going to improve, about all the abundance you're going to gain in your life, which directly goes against everything that victim mentality stands for, and so it cancels each other out. So I think a really powerful exercise you guys can practice is right now to visualize a character in a book or a movie, and imagine this character has all of the problems that you are struggling with right now. And now think, what would they do if those problems were a part of their story? You might not know the exact solution, but you do know how boring if, while I continue to watch this movie or read this book, this character sits there and does nothing and complains and cries for the next hour. No, you know this character, and you know how movies end and you know how books end. This character is going to pick up again and they're going to try something else, and the storyline is going to shift, and you're going to be taken on this entire adventure of how they solve these problems and become better because of it, so that they can get to the inevitable happy ending of that movie. And guess what? That character is you. Life is a game. Life is like a book or a movie. You have your story and you get to create every single chapter and moment of it. And what this really links into, and what I've been trying to say this whole time with character switching, is this is an example of having an alter ego, which I have an entire guide to this on my YouTube channel, and the form of identity switching, which is when you finally separate yourself from everything that you are familiar with and everything that may be real in your physical realm right now, and instead shift it to who you want to be. And the last step for this chapter is to take accountability and step into your highest self. This step really links into the first cause that we broke down in this video, which is victim mentality is caused by blaming external situations and external people, but this goes directly against it, because by taking accountability and knowing I am not where I want to be in life because I keep skipping the gym or waking up late, or maybe I shouldn't have let that person have access to me and then maybe my peace would have been protected. In order to move on and create the reality that you really want, so that victim mentality no longer has a place there, we actually have to take accountability for the role that we play in each of these situations, because while that person shouldn't have treated you that way, and while none of your traumas are deserved, we always have a role to play. We didn't have the correct boundaries in our life when that person came into it. We hadn't worked on our self-esteem and our insecurities, which then influenced the circle that we had around us. We were procrastinating and we weren't having our priorities or our studies in the right place, which then got us the results that we had in the end. And this form of taking accountability is not about feeling guilty or feeling bad about yourself. It's about recognizing that you have all of the control and all of the power in your life at all times. And the second that you start to realize your mistakes mistake, something magical starts to happen, which is if these are the actions which got me that result, now you start to gain all of these ideas about the next actions that you need to implement to make sure you never get those results again, and you start to get better ones that align to your dreams. And what links into this is stepping into your highest self. Your higher self is not consumed by its ego. So when bad things happens, it doesn't think in the way your ego does, which is, I can't believe that person treated me that way, or I can't believe this happened. No, your higher self thinks, I needed this experience. This is teaching me something about myself. This is teaching me a valuable lesson that I need to be able to move on in my life. I am so grateful to have had this experience because of the knowledge it's given me. For example, your highest self knows that a breakup isn't a failure. It doesn't determine your attractiveness or your worth or your capabilities in finding the love of your life. It was simply a stepping stone to refining your standards and just finding the person that's actually meant for you. And when you look at things from this perspective, nothing is good or bad anymore. It's simply a part of your evolution. And so you can't take anything personally anymore. There is no such thing as being a victim. In fact, you're always the hero of your story because everything is always working out for you. And that brings us to the final chapter of this video, chapter 3, homework, aka practical steps to progress on this journey to going from victim to hero in your life. By the way, if you like all of the homework chapters in my videos and all the practical steps that I give to back up all the advice I give, then you're absolutely going to love my book that just came out. It's called Buy Yourself the Damn Flowers, and it's available worldwide on Amazon, and every single chapter ends with a homework page that has at least 5 tasks for every single chapter that helps you progress on your self-love journey to being the baddest, most confident, empowered, and highest version of yourself. So make sure you check it out. Homework task number 1, practice opposite action. All this means is that whenever you're next presented with a challenge or a problem which is making you want to act in a way that reinforces your victim mindset, e.g. blaming, complaining, feeling sorry for yourself, self-pity, urge yourself to instead replace it with the opposite action. Because honestly, this is a long journey and it's going to take a lot of practice to get you out of this mentality that you've been stuck in for a long time and instead replace it with one that aligns to your higher self. But the more often that you practice the opposite reaction, the more it's going to feel like second nature to you, and you will literally level up into that type of person. So the next time that you want to complain or blame, you are going to shift that and replace it with gratitude by knowing that this is just an inevitable step on your growth journey, that everything is always working out for you, that this is teaching you something but you just don't know it yet. The goal here is to just rewire your actions and your language to break out of the pattern the victim mentality is keeping you stuck in. Homework task number 2 is to create a victory log. I want you to write down all of the victories that you achieve every single day. It doesn't matter how big or how small. It could literally be making your bed if that is something you usually struggle with. You could write down things like, I didn't snooze my alarm this morning, or I woke up 30 minutes earlier than I usually would. I got this task completed today. I went to the gym even though I felt really shy. And then at the end of every day, or simply when you're feeling a little bit down about yourself or that life isn't going very great, you need to read through this list and be reminded of all of the times you showed up for yourself, all of the times you proved how abundant and amazing and powerful life is, because it's actually all in your control. It's so easy to forget the progress we make every single day when we're so consumed about where we need to be or the next steps we need to take. And so by doing this activity, you are so much aware of all of the progress and all of the wins you've made that it becomes so much easier to see almost every experience as an opportunity rather than an obstacle. And the final homework task is probably most important, and this is to challenge your why me narrative. You stop being a victim when you finally step away from saying why me and start saying thank you. And the way to do this is by first cutting out the why me language in a situation and instead looking at the situation through a few different angles. And the easiest way to do this is just by asking yourself the following questions whenever you're struggling in a certain situation. Question number 1 is, what benefits could come from this challenge? This could be new skills, a fresh start, a new mindset, a little bit more knowledge or wisdom, a new standard you need to set in your life. Question number 2 is, what lessons can I learn from this experience? Basically, what can you take from this situation or challenge or adversity that's going to then make you stronger in the future? And finally, question number 3, how can I utilize this experience to grow into the best version of myself? Yeah, that's right. You are taking every single challenge and obstacle that life throws at you and making it your big. You are always focusing on what you can control. You are taking every single challenge and extracting all of the abundance and all of the knowledge out of it to be able to make sure that it is simply just a role and basically your employee, and making sure that you are leveling up into the best version of yourself. And honestly, after seeing it that way, why would you ever feel like a victim again? And that brings brings us to the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, as always, please comment down below and let me know what resonated with you, what step you really liked, what piece of advice you liked, and which homework task you are going to be completing, because I'm going to be reading through all of your comments and responding to some as well. So I would love to know, because it really helps me in improving my videos and getting out more knowledge and more value. I actually made this video because it was requested by one of you guys, so be sure to leave all of your other requests below. And yeah, also check out all of the links below in my description with all of my socials. I post every single day exclusive advice on my TikTok and Instagram. But I will see you guys same time next week on Friday for a brand new video. Bye.